Welcome to Pulse episode 70. Time for some good old World of Warcraft news. In this week's episode we take a look, as expected, at a few April Fool's recaps, the latest Ask the Devs post, another Ghostcrawler blog, some art updates and more. Let's get started. April Fool's Day. Yes, it was indeed April Fool's Day in World of Warcraft 2. That much is sure. I did speak about all Blizzard's other tomfoolery in my recent Diablo and StarCraft Pulse episodes, but here and now, let's check the ones for World of Warcraft out from Blizzard themselves and the other big community sites. First up, we have Krabby, the Dungeon Helper. Wouldn't it be nice to have a helpful friend at your side, ready to provide you with tips and hints when you're stuck? A friend who's there to provide encouragement, who will help you pick yourself up off the floor after the 15th wipe of the night? Someone who will stick with you, no matter what. Everyone can use a friend like that. A friend like Krabby. Krabby can help you improve your gear, organize groups, run raids, and, wait for it, solve all your problems. Yes, Krabby was indeed quite a hit, and many on the forums and in-game were quite saddened to see him go. Who knows, perhaps one day this Krabby fantasy will become a reality. Read more about Krabby and check the entire page dedicated to him out below. Next up we have the 4.1.11 patch notes preview. These were a great read. Additions like the random guild finder and appearance tab to customize your vanity pet's looks headlined the patch notes, but the general game changes, class changes and balance changes definitely took the cake. Let's have a look at a few. Character armory profiles will now display the current guild status: solo, in a guild, looking for guild, guild kicked, and it's complicated. In addition, character portraits now have the option to be displayed as a self-taken cell phone picture from in front of a bathroom mirror. Dance Studio has been removed from the game due to lack of use. The mouse can no longer be used to turn player characters. In many cases, this gave certain players a slight advantage over those that used their keys to turn. There were tons of amazingly funny class changes too, but I can't possibly mention them all here, so let's just have a look at a few of my favorites. Death Knight customer support tickets will always be handled before those of other players. Different models have been added for the male and female versions of bear form. The difference is subtle unless you know where to look. Aquatic and travel form were causing too much of a performance hit and have been replaced with lower poly models. Members of the priest class must now make a vow of chastity. Discipline priests, we heard you like shields that heal, so we put shield in your shield so you can heal while you heal. Due to continual misspellings of the rogue class, we have officially changed the name to the easier type Rouge. Female warlocks are now correctly called witches. The Worgen sniff sound has been replaced by Rebecca Black's hit single Friday. The song will play in its entirety every time. To toughen up players for their encounters with dragons and demons, the in-game emote /hug has been removed from the game. All those and more can be found below. Yes, April the 1st was a few days ago and I apologize for only covering this now, but hey, it had to be done. Other than these funnies, we saw the Tomb of Immortal Darkness, which I covered in my Diablo Pulse episode. Wowhead changed to Rifthead for a day and teased us with a few other sillies, like the Delisha Faye NPC and armor dyes. MMO Champion announced that Blizzard would be selling Divine Wings and Wings of Chaos. I have to tell you that I really thought these were real for a second there. And they hinted at a Pandaren race being added to the game. All that and lots of other good stuff can in fact be found below. Let me know what your favorite was, or which of the lot was most believable to you. And so the Blizzard joke squad go galumping back whence they came, hiding amid the slithy toves that gyre and gimble in the wabe, busily plotting and scheming for the future. See you again next year. There's slightly less patch 4.1 news to talk about this week, but hey, at least there's something. We are basically just going to look at a bunch of extras. So if you want to do a bit of light patch 4.1 reading, you can check out a couple of posts over at WoW Insider about the introduction of fishing dailies to Undercity, and a Know Your Lore post that is coincidentally about the Zandalari. It seems like we may well be seeing some heirloom legs coming in a future patch. Probably not in patch 4.1, but it is planned and the items and their stats have already been data mined. So that's quite interesting for all you alcoholics out there. Worth noting, I did mention that there would be a tanking set coming up soon, and yes, this one could quite possibly be in 4.1. You can check all the updated loot tables out for the newly redone Zul dungeons over at MMO Champion. And lastly, it seems like you can now buy Maelstrom crystals from the Honor and Justice vendors on the patch 4.1 PTR. If you're interested in any or all of those 4.1 extras, you know where to look. The answers are in from Blizzard's previous installment of Ask the Devs, and a new questions thread is now available. In the 4th installment of this Q&A series, the devs asked for questions about weapons and armor, and they got just that. A lot of that. The questions and answers were all over the place. They covered topics such as their plans of implementing a system where winning an item via need, when using the Dungeon Finder need before greed loot system, will make a bind on equip items soulbound, and they hope to have this working for the 4.2 patch. They spoke about the rumored new legendary weapon, and they said that the weapon will be available in both 10 and 25 man difficulties. However, it will be 2 to 2.5 times faster to complete in a 25 man raid. Also, the Firelands legendary weapon has an amazing story and quest chain associated with it. Account-bound items will be transferable to other realms someday. Blizzard wants to add some customization to characters, but isn't sure that dyes are the way to go. This is still something that is being considered and discussed internally. Tabards, procs, tier design and more. Yes indeed, there was a lot of interesting stuff to read, and you can check it all out below. The next question thread is also up, as I mentioned, and in this one Blizzard are seeking questions about achievements. If you have a question or just want to see what other people had to ask, you'd best head on over there right now. Ghostcrawler is back with yet another dev water cooler, or for all us European players, coffee with the devs post. The point of focus this week is stat allocation, or stats on gear. He talks about how they made some major changes to the stats that show up on armor and weapons for Cataclysm, and how they periodically review how things have shaken out. I guess we can take this as one of those reviews then. He mentions that one suggestion that comes up quite often during their meetings is to make gear more tailored for each and every talent spec, because it honestly feels like they have 30 classes in the game at times. As you can imagine though, that would not quite work. He says the other extreme that was brought up was to make gear more universal. Yes, even more universal. But says that would lead to many problems when it comes to sharing the loot with others in your raid group. You get the basic idea. Ghostcrawler says that unless they come up with a really compelling reason to change gear stats, they'll probably stick with the Cataclysm model for the foreseeable future. But they are interested in seeing or hearing our feedback. Would more universal gear be more or less fun? Do you like competing over items many folks want, like Deathbringer's Will or even Cho'Gall's shoulder tokens? Does it suck when plate tanking gear drops long after tanks have geared up, or is it nice to be able to toss it to the Ret or Fury player for their off-spec? Do the druids wish they had real tanking gear? Are the prot warriors jealous of the feral gear model? Is this one of those places in the game that could benefit from a more simple design, even if it was a less fun design? To close it off, he jokes by saying that there are really no wrong answers here, only whiny ones. If you're interested in reading more about stats on gear from none other than Ghostcrawler himself, check that post out over on the official site. Ah yes, the art updates. Some like them and some don't, but the latter are obviously delusional. The World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King art gallery has been updated yet again with 6 new pieces representing the Warcraft universe, and the fan art section has been updated with 9 new pieces of fan artwork, also set within the very same universe. The fan art images are, as always, a treat. You can see my favorite of the lot on your screens right now. Next up, the following comic from Kelly Aarons was selected as an honorable mention in Blizzard's ongoing comic contest, and portrays a story in the form of a poem about a horde quest in Ashenvale. Lastly, the latest image from the always interesting Daily Blink, this one titled Warriors, the healing spec, Triage. Yes, even warriors can be healers, no problem. Check all those out below in full size. Next, let's head on over to the World of Warcraft Smalls. On the official site, Blizzard just reminds us that you can now buy World of Warcraft hockey jerseys. There's a poll up titled Opinion My Ride, and the next new player tips post is out titled Travel Speed. There's a refreshing deal at the Blizzard online store. This is about the Pandaren figurine. And the last post on the official site, Blizzard also just remind us that you can in fact browse for raids in-game. Over at Wowhead, you can check out the latest legendary WoW video podcast, Changes. And it seems like the guys and girls over at Wowhead have once again updated their site. Maps now show flight paths. On YouTube, you can check out a rogue that soloed Cthulhu and the Twin Emperors. The latest weekly moment is out titled Effort and Endgame, and PST episode 23 can also be found right here on YouTube. And lastly, over at G4 TV, you can find the latest MMO report. That is sadly all I have for you for this episode. Remember to check the Diablo and StarCraft episodes out if you haven't already, and keep checking back here for more. It would also be great if you could like the video, favorite it, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe. No, I'm definitely not asking too much of you. Most importantly though, happy Warcrafting.